Hey, check up. Let's play some D. Welcome to episode 60 of Play Some D. It's your host, Coach D, in the building as always. And the long-awaited 60 was well delayed on my part here. I mean, the topics I want to talk about today, I probably could have talked about a few days ago. A few days ago, mainly didn't have time, and then I felt like a week ago I just didn't have just the topics to really talk about, I guess you can say. I mean, I kind of did, and I just didn't feel super comfortable. Even what I'm talking about today is necessary stuff, or one of them isn't, but I'm gonna do the top 10 NBA players right now. I was gonna save that for later, but once again, I just felt like I didn't have enough stuff that I really wanted to talk about. And there's stuff to talk about, but then there's stuff that I want to talk about. So it goes back and forth. So I'll do the top 10 NBA players right now. Get that out the way. Where I probably kind of wanted to wait closer towards the season to start. But I know I've read a lot of articles and I've seen some posts and things with people putting it out now. So let me put mine out now too. So that one's not necessary, but the other three, I mean, I'm gonna talk about the Inflation Reduction Act. Obviously, I'm also gonna talk about the chips the CHIPS Act, the Chips and Science Act of 2022, Biden signed as well, and those were. I'm going to talk about the bills that haven't done that in a while, so I wanted to do that, and I also going to talk about artificial intelligence and the internet and kind of moving forward in the future. I'm sure I've talked about it before. I'm pretty sure in some way, form, or facet, if not a whole topic, and I will talk about it again. And AI and internet is just the future. So yeah, 60 probably should have been done a week ago, but I just wasn't comfortable with the topics a week ago that I wanted to do, and then now I just felt like it is time. You gotta. So I'm doing. So I won't stretch it out any longer. If you don't mind that sub button, like button, drop a comment, and I'm gonna start it all off with the biggest one, and that's the Inflation Reduction Act. This is straight from the White House's website, and I'll just run through the stuff. And yeah, I mean, it won't reduce inflation. There's many of people and you know that said that what's in here doesn't really specifically do that, but it was a really good name to name it because for political purposes, which sucks. But I talked about this before. Everything's politically driven nowadays, so that's what that's what it does. But the main thing this really does is it's the biggest climate bill ever, or the first one. I mean, it's the biggest for sure, but really the first one. But I'll run it down. That'll come down here later on. As we see it, will lower costs for families, combat climate, reduce the deficit, and make corporations pay. It's mainly climate, some deficit, and some corporation. And just in the midst of that, they hope that it'll bring down costs of things, including prescription drugs. Uh, you know, the prescription drugs going down in costs. I mean, healthcare, drug costs, everything, health insurance, all that stuff going down in general. If that goes down, that helps a whole lot. It eases people's minds more than anything, and then to know you don't have to spend a lot if you do need something. That helps because healthcare is totally important. You want to be healthy. It's like being unhealthy isn't fun. It's just unfortunate, and to try to be able to afford to get yourself back in good health is is more beneficial than being able to buy whatever, anything from food to paying rent. Is if you don't feel good, it's just nothing else really matters. So 13 million Americans will save an average of $800 a year on insurance premiums. 3 million more will have health insurance. Will have health insurance than without the law. I don't even know what that means. The uninsured rate is at an all-time low, and they expect to get that lower. The special interest and lobbyists with pharmaceutical companies is not going to be totally addressed here in this bill whatsoever. I mean, there's something in there, but this type of money doesn't really. Oh, this is the amount the pharmaceutical industry has spent on lobbying. That's a lot. Yeah, it's trying to defeat the special interest, I guess. But that takes more than a bill. That's members of Congress. This word right here that'll have to fix that type of stuff. So then the clean energy we get to, there'll be tax credits. There's the 7,500 for electric vehicles, which probably, if they don't come down, this will have to go up in another bill of some sort. 4,000 for used is also a pretty good one. I know a lot of people will probably want to look used first once the prices go down instead of buying a new car, a new electric car, especially if somebody, just likes used cars like myself, rather not buy a brand new car because they're overpriced. Even when the market goes back down, they'll still be overpriced. So the clean energy economy is the biggest thing outside of helping people a little bit getting into some vehicles and solar panels on their roofs. The goal is to get these two things going. I think this can totally help. At least trying, making an effort to do it. I think it really help in the long haul. I'm not sure what the grid scale battery plants are, but it sounds good. I have to do more looking at that. But with the turbines and the solar panels, it just seems like that'll help tremendously. Advancing cost-saving clean energy projects, serving 42 million people. All that stuff is good. That the money going into that, everything in America costs so much to do. All of the restraints or restrictions, laws, zoning, just people's pockets get lined before stuff really even gets done. So that's one of the biggest things I'm worried about. But in the midst of that is that if it does create the millions of jobs, good paying jobs, that'll help a little bit, I think. And then the pollution. I mean, this is just a hard one. This will help. Reducing the harmful pollution will help the environment overall. Once again, how the funds are distributed, it doesn't even matter. I mean, you can get the numbers of exactly where everything goes. They don't put it specifically in here. They're not putting the numbers in here, but I've seen some of the numbers. I forgot the exact numbers, but it doesn't matter how much money you put into something. If it's not used efficiently, then it doesn't really matter. So just the best way, putting the money in the best possible organization's hands to get this done effectively and efficiently is going to matter the most. It doesn't matter how much money it is if it's being just wasted, thrown around. And then making the tax code fair, that's a fair statement for me. Just make it fairer. It'll never be fair for anybody. Nothing will work for anybody. Won't be able to satisfy everybody, but at least try. This is the 55 is the number of the largest wealthy corporations that got away without paying federal taxes. People always say they don't pay any taxes, but they do pay some taxes, just federal taxes, which is still a lot of taxes, but we definitely should throw federal in front of a lot of stuff when we say that. And then the 1% that evade in taxes, universally different federal, just getting away with different taxes, but they do play some. Just not their fair share is what my guy Bernie likes to say. 15% the minimum tax on corporation profits, and this is supposed to be the savings that it'll generate, and no families making less than that. That's hard to believe, but we'll see. And then reducing the deficit, I don't believe any other reducing the deficit stuff until we actually see it happens. But it sounds good, looks good, and just the idea of it trying to attack climate is more than enough to talk about it, for it to be introduced, for people to look at it, people, feel some kind of confidence in something getting done in Washington, no matter, no Republicans voted for it or not. It's just nice to see something get done and give it a shot. That's what every administration wants to do, is to try to give it a shot. And that looked like that was on the 16th, but right before that, jumping in the second quarter, right before that was the Chips and Science Act. This will lower costs, create jobs, and strengthen supply chains, and counter China. Now, one of the biggest things that this I find is interesting is they're doing it now when they're in this real rough patch with China. So it's big huevos, big balls by Big Biden to do this, but it does need to be done. The goal is it'll bring those chip manufacturing, those vital chips here to the U.S. And it's important because if something happens in China or anywhere for many difference of reasons, we can come to American can come to a screeching halt. So it's important to have some kind of fundamental structure here in the U.S. Will it replace everything? No, I don't think so. I mean, I think this is just a stepping stone to get you towards it, but to have something going on here in the United States is better than nothing. I guess it's the best way I feel about it. Companies have announced nearly $50 billion in additional investments in American semiconductor manufacturing, bringing total business investment to nearly $150 billion since Biden took office. Micron is announcing $40 billion investment in memory chips manufacturing for computers and electronic devices, 40,000 jobs. This will bring the U.S. market share from less than 2% to 10%. I mean, over the next decade, over the next 10 years, that's not whopping. Once again, like I said, it doesn't really put a dent in anything, but it's better than nothing. Qualcomm are announcing a new partnership, $4 billion expansion at the New York facility. So increasing my production in the U.S. by up to 50% over 5 years. Sounds good to me. Would like it to be a little bit quicker, because just knowing 5 years and 10 years is not going to be the real number. They thrive for that. You'll be lucky if it's 10 and lucky if it's 9, but it'll probably be more like 12 and probably more like 6 or 7. That's just my confidence in the U.S., but it's still a try. It'll boost the semiconductor research, development, and production. Research, development, and production is the best, like I said, whether it happens in 5 years, 10 years, just putting that boost, that emphasis in it, the people, the kids, not even just the kids, but just anybody interested in working with chips and manufacturing them, trying to build a business, trying to compete with Qualcomm or compete with Micron, there'll be an avenue for that where, we rely on East Asia for 75% of gold production. That's a big number. So I said, if anything was to happen, you get, it doesn't put a dent in 75%, doesn't put that big of a dent, but it is something. This law will also ensure the United States maintains and advances its scientific and technological edge. I don't totally know if microchips. I mean, we still. I mean, I wouldn't say nobody has an edge. I guess that's what I'm looking for. I don't think anybody has an edge. It just keeps you sharp. It just keeps you competing, keeps you learning, getting better, trying to develop the next and best stuff. But I don't think it gives anyone. I don't think anybody in the world has a technological edge. But I could totally be wrong about that. But everybody shares information. A lot of information is out there. There's tons of research, tons of scientists, tons of developers, tons of innovators all across the world that are digging into stuff right now that may not even be possible for years to come. So I don't know if anybody has a total edge. It's just um, having those individuals that I guess work harder or wake up with the idea and able to execute it. I mean, I guess it's execution, that those individuals, teams, organizations that actually execute and make it work. High tech coordinate permitting, that's the big word, permitting, because the permitting is the thing with factories building everything. So we'll see how that part of it goes. Uh, Councils of advisors, I just who knows? Probably somebody Biden's friends or something. You never know. Bolster U.S. leadership. Promotes UN and wireless supply chain. That global leadership thing again. I hear it. It sounds good. So this one's a big step. And like I said, the biggest reason why I was totally interested in it is because there is that beef with China right now, and China's already like, nah, like don't mess with us for real with this. Like this is our lane. So yeah, it's pretty. So U.S. opposes U.S. Chip Act to take measures to safeguard rights. China-U.S. relations further soured by Chips Act. That's just some of the articles that show up because China don't like us, but at the end of the day, it's business. Across the world, money talks, money rules. I don't care what anybody says. Money talks, and I may not like you, but you're gonna buy my stuff if you need my stuff, because you know that's how I go. All right, so for halftime, I was going to speak on something that I forgot about in my brain, so maybe I can remember it. I did want to touch. Oh, halftime, I was going to talk real quickly just about the WNBA. I originally was going to predict the WNBA playoffs. They started already, still could, but didn't. But I do think that they'll be like, I think there could be some real upsets. I just I think some really interesting things could happen. At the end of the day, it probably should be the Las Vegas versus the Sky. I don't think it will be. I do think Las Vegas will make it to the finals. I just don't know if it'll be against the Sky or Connecticut. So we'll see. That was, predictions. Essentially, I was going to say Vegas and Sky, 1 versus 2. And I think Vegas is the best team. They have been all year for the most part. Sky's pretty good, but they're inconsistent. They already lost one game to the Liberty, and with the old rules, one game. I think the first round was one game and done, so they would have been done. But it's best of 3. So shout out to the WNBA, and yeah, the playoffs should be good. I'll be checking them out. So third quarter is about AI and the internet, and experts say soon the internet could be generated by AI. As of right now, it looks like metaverse AI it's what the goal is, to like revolutionize the internet, to turn it to the next thing. I think it should be. I guess the reason I want to talk about this is I would like it just to separate. Like it's like internet. I don't know if it's gonna be 3.0. I think it's called Internet 3.0, and I think I talked about it already. I definitely talked about it already. I just don't remember if it's 3.0. Yeah, decentralizes blockchain, Web3. I just wish they would just separate Web3 and 2, what we already have now. Because I want to stay in 2. I don't ever want to be metaverse. I don't want to be AI driven. I just wish the people that I wish it was a choice that we can decide which one we wanted to be involved in. I don't want to go to ESPN.com and my articles are written up by a robot or anything of that nature. Yeah, people make mistakes. There's gonna be people that say weird stuff and do weird things. It's human nature, and that's just a part of it. You don't want AI just making a robotic script of an article about what happened. You kind of want some nuance and some human element in it. It was kind of like them talking about getting robots for umpires in baseball. I get the argument, but it's just a part of baseball. It's so long, you shouldn't change it now. And I think the internet in the software hardware space that is in, you can just keep what we have now, and then if you want to be, in another realm of it and get it a different way, you should have that opportunity. Um, this article from the Byte earlier this year. The future of the internet of the future could be written by bots, but will that make it better or worse? Once again, like I said, for me, regardless of the fact, will it make it better or worse? Don't think it's necessary to actually change the whole internet. Just call it something else, let it be something else, and go from there. And then there's no transition and there's no like hard feelings. There will be people that want that. Variety is spice of life, right? That's the theme of Play Some D. And you should have options to pick from of what you get your content from, how you get it, who's it coming from, your choice. You don't want Robot John. It's like, oh yeah, I like Robot John's articles better than like who, what, why, when, and where. Um, Now making it a better and safe place with less work is a whole different argument. As it being safe and like monitoring the metaverse and make sure people are feel safe and comfortable, and because obviously people, in a sense, people can be biased, but I mean you can program robots or however that happens with whoever's in charge of the robots, or however it gets manufactured and censored and controlled. Supposedly AI wouldn't be as biased, where people can be in a moderated whatever room or whoever, or you get friends and they get the way with stuff. Who knows? Who knows exactly how it all breaks down or boils down? But I just, yeah, I don't know. Uh, Copeland's Institute of Future Studies expert Timothy Shoup estimates that 99 to 99.9% internet's content will be AI generated by 2025 to 2023, especially if models like OpenAI is wider adopted. 2025 is like right around the corner. So to me, that sounds kind of sucky and unfortunate, and I would definitely change the way I use the internet for sure if that is the case. And we'll see. I mean, there'll obviously be other options. There'll always be forums and stuff like Substack. I don't think stuff like that is going anywhere. People like that stuff that you will be able to. But I do think people want to be in a safe environment. If you sell it like that and everything feels real copacetic, people will probably mess around in that internet realm over the others. So AI and the internet in the future is going to be a thing. I'll definitely talk about it more. And yeah, you know we'll see how it goes. So fourth quarter is NBA talk. I mentioned earlier on that I would do the top 10 players. And I've seen a couple different lists, and I guess anybody's could be right, but I'm going to start rattling it down from 10. And at 10, I have Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler goes at 10 for me. I really consider Ja, but what the Heat did last year was just a little more impressive, and Jimmy's just more stable than Ja. Ja is improved and a really explosive player, but 2 years in, it's just really hard to rank you in the top 10. So Jimmy Butler goes at 10 for me. At 9, I'm taking Devin Booker. Book should probably be higher. He just, I don't know. It's just something. It's just something missing, and hopefully he switches it into the next year because I believe he has it. He has all the skill set, the tools, athleticism, everything to get there. I just think he needs to raise it up a level, and we'll see if he does do that this year. I was really, really tempted to put Kawhi in here at number 10 or in this top 10 as well. I do think it's fair for him to be in it. I do, but yeah, I do think it's fair for him to be in it, but he's just been hurt. He's just been hurt for a while. And yeah, I can't put him in. Yeah, I just can't. It's just a little tough for me to slide him in a spot. At number 8, I have Tatum. Jason Tatum. And it's not tough. I think it's totally fair to put him at 8. I think he sits at 8 pretty much alone, and then like 1 through 7, I can understand where people could argue any of top 7 in the whatever place. But Tatum right now, the last season, I think 8 is the number. At 7, I have Embiid, and for me personally, he could be 6, but maybe just injuries tapers it down, and it's just super close. I think it's just super close. So I do have Joel Embiid at 7. At 6, I have Jokic. The Jokic at 6, I just don't think he's better than any of the top 5 guys, and I don't think he's better than Joel. I guess I just give him the nod because I just give him the nod because of what he did with the team last year. That's really why I put him over Embiid. Like, his team was really, really bad, and he carried them gracefully. Did an amazing job. So that's why I have him over Embiid. So Jokic is 6. Number 5 is Luka. Luka is at 5. I think Luka makes the most sense at 5. I don't know. I mean, you could put him at 4. You could slide LeBron down, but I think Luka at 5 is totally fair. At 4, I have Steph Curry. Crazy, right? He just won a championship. He probably should be number 1, but he's just not better. He's just not better than the top 3 guys. And in my opinion, Steph is incredible. I think he probably slid into the top 10 all time. I'm pretty sure he slid into my top 10 all time. So, yeah, but right now, though, which is weird because, I mean, I guess KD would be in my top. I don't know. I'm going to have to stare at that for a minute. But just right now in basketball, Steph's at 4, but I wouldn't argue. For me, Steph's at 4. I wouldn't argue him being 2, 3, or 4. Definitely not 1, but 2, 3, or 4. I think that's where he is. Number 3 for me is LeBron. Obviously, like I mentioned, he could be 4. Put Steph at 3. Wouldn't be mad at that at all. But I just think if LeBron stayed healthy last year, you probably got the scoring champion. Lakers in the playoffs, and Lakers in the playoffs would have been scary. They just would have been. So LeBron looked incredible, very efficient last year. Just getting older, the injuries will creep in, and he'll have to figure out a way to manage those. But he's right behind number 2, which is KD. Kevin Durant is the second best player, and I would not be. I don't think anybody would have. I think it would be silly. No, I did read some. I did have some. There was some articles where I think he was in some weird spots. I've seen a couple articles where he was in weird spots, but he's really, to me, either 1 or 2. If you need a basket, if you had to win a championship today, you're picking KD. And just like the All-Star game, if KD wasn't a captain and you picked first, you're picking KD. LeBron isn't a captain, you're picking first, you're picking LeBron, right? Just how the top 4 players, if any of them alternate wasn't a captain, they're picking. If you have 2 captains, whether it's LeBron, KD, Giannis, Steph, they're picking the other of these 4. So that's why it'd be top 4 right now. KD's number 2, and number 1, as I just mentioned, is Mr. Antetokounmpo. I call him Dante Don. That is my nickname for that man. He is a beast. He's just the youngest of the group. He's a bull. He's virtually unstoppable. And they just caught a snag in the playoffs. Yeah, they got a little unlucky in the playoffs losing Middleton. So had they not, they would have been to the finals, and I predicted they would have beat the Warriors. So he is the best player in the NBA. I don't think it's very close, but I think the only argument you can really make is KD to be better than Giannis, and I don't think LeBron, Steph, or Luka makes it. I mean, I guess if you say Jokic, couple of back-to-back MVPs, but once again, if you were picking a player, if you were a captain, you were picking the first player, you're picking Giannis. You're not picking Jokic to win you a championship. It's just not gonna happen. So I know, coach, that's not how you best player, whatever. But he's got it all. Athleticism, Jokic has none of it. Yeah, athleticism doesn't matter, but actually it does in basketball, very much so. He gets it done without it. If he was athletic, Jokic would be scary. So another conversation, another time. But top 10, Giannis at 1, KD at 2, Bron at 3, Steph at 4, Luka at 5, Jokic at 6, Embiid at 7, Tatum at 8, Book at 9, and Jimmy Buckets at 10. And that was Play Some D60. I just ran through my top 10 right now NBA players. I did some AI and the internet. I don't know, metaverse, AI, internet is getting all mixy right now and there. We had 2 bills recently signed that, they look good on paper for sure. I can't even lie. The CHIPS Act is definitely looking China in the eye and saying we're going to fight, and you guys gonna have to whatever, we're gonna do something. We're gonna try to do a little something. And the Inflation Act doesn't help. It won't really help inflation. Inflation is going to fix itself. Corporations, you can't really dictate their prices and stuff like that. So they'll move based on the market. If people are buying a bunch of stuff, they're gonna raise the prices. If people aren't, they're gonna they'll put it where it needs to go. So, drop a comment. Let me know what you think. You can always hit that sub button if you don't mind. Like button if you don't mind. And yeah, as always, it's your boy Coach D. And as we always do, keep it light, keep it tight. Until the next one, I holla.